Chosen one. You are not hearing this by chance, and you are not watching by accident. This moment has been arranged by heaven, timed with precision beyond human understanding, because something in the spirit has reached its appointed hour. What you have been carrying in silence, the weight you have been managing alone, the worries you thought were responsibility, have been seen, and now they are being addressed. Anointed one, there is a shift taking place as you listen. Worry has been gripping your mind, disguising itself as preparation. But heaven is declaring release. The season of mental striving is closing. The loop of fear is losing its authority. As it is written in Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3, "The one whose mind is stayed is kept in perfect peace." That peace is not a feeling you chase, it is a position you return to. And today, you are being called back into it. Chosen one, when worry loosens its hold, alignment begins. Presence replaces panic. Clarity replaces noise, and in that stillness, doors that could not open under pressure begin to move. This is the edge of a supernatural turn. Sudden elevation, heaven-sent provision, a transformation that does not arrive through force, but through surrender. As Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 reminds us, the vision waits for its appointed time, and now the waiting is giving way. God's reminders are not always loud. Sometimes they arrive as something quiet, simple and steady, a place of return when strength feels thin. What has been gently prepared rests below, waiting in peace. Chosen one, hear this slowly and let it settle into your spirit. When worry begins to fall silent, it is not because you have lost care. It is because heaven is restoring order. I have learned this the hard way. There were seasons when I believed worry was proof that I was responsible, alert, faithful. But in truth, it was fear dressed up as wisdom. And fear, no matter how intelligent it sounds, always scatters the soul. When you stop worrying, something holy happens. Your energy stops leaking into imagined futures, and it returns to the present moment where God is already waiting for you. Anointed one, this is where the shift begins. Not when every problem disappears, but when your grip loosens. Worry tightens the hands, the jaw, the breath. It convinces you that control equals safety. But heaven does not move through clenched fists. Heaven moves through surrender. I remember nights when my mind rehearsed disasters that never came, conversations that never happened, losses that never arrived. And yet, life kept moving quietly in front of me. Opportunities passed, peace knocked softly, but worry made me deaf. When worry finally lost its authority, alignment followed, not instantly, not dramatically, but unmistakably. Chosen one, you are not becoming careless. You are becoming clear. When worry steps aside, focus takes its rightful place. You begin to show up fully to what is, instead of exhausting yourself over what might be. This is not weakness. This is maturity of the Spirit. Scripture reminds us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That soundness is returning to you now, and with it comes discernment. You stop reacting from panic and start responding from peace. That is not accidental. That is divine recalibration. Anointed one, I have watched this pattern repeat in my own life and in the lives of others I have walked with. The moment worry loosens, life responds differently. Conversations soften, Decisions simplify. Even mistakes lose their sting because you no longer interpret them as omens of collapse. You begin to trust that you can meet whatever comes, not because you have every answer, but because you have presence, and presence carries authority. This is why heaven often removes worry before releasing increase. A mind in panic cannot steward what God is about to place in your hands. Chosen one, understand this truth. Worry is not preparation. It is an illusion of control. It makes you feel busy, productive, responsible, while quietly draining your strength. It keeps you running mental laps around problems you have not been assigned to solve yet. And while you are running, life is unfolding without you. I had to learn to ask a different question. Not what if everything goes wrong, but what if I will be okay even if it does? That question dismantled fear. It reminded me that confidence is not built by avoiding chaos, but by walking through it with God. Anointed one, heaven is teaching you the same lesson now. You do not need to predict the path. You need to trust the timing. When you stop feeding worry, you stop demanding certainty before obedience. You learn to move step by step, breath by breath. And in that rhythm, things begin to align. Not because you force them, but because you stopped resisting the flow. This is how divine elevation often begins, quietly, internally. Before anything changes on the outside, something settles on the inside. Chosen one, people will notice this shift before you announce it. Your voice carries less urgency and more weight. Your movements slow, but your decisions sharpen. You say less, but what you say lands. This is not coincidence. This is strength returning to its rightful place. Heaven is preparing you for increase that does not come through striving, but through alignment. Wealth, favor, opportunity, and authority respond to this frequency. Not because you chased them, but because you became someone who can carry them. Anointed one, here is something that may challenge you. Many of the problems you believe you have are not problems at all. They are stories worry has written in advance. I have watched unread messages turn into imagined rejection, silence turn into assumed failure, delays turn into self-accusation. But when you stop adding meaning too quickly, life simplifies. You allow things to be what they are, not what fear says they will become. That restraint is wisdom, and wisdom attracts blessing. Chosen one, heaven is intervening in your inner world because a shift is coming in your outer one. You are being trained to let things be unresolved without losing your peace, to wait without panic, to breathe without answers. This is not passive. This is powerful. Life is not a perfectly scripted story. It unfolds in layers, pauses, and moments of trust. And sometimes the most prophetic act is to wait without worry, trusting that God is still working even when you are not moving. Anointed one, this is where we pause for now, because what comes next builds on this foundation, and what is being prepared for you requires a mind that is no longer at war with itself. Chosen one. There is a moment in every spiritual journey when heaven stops addressing the storm around you and begins addressing the storm within you. This is that moment. Worry has been whispering to you for years, shaping how you interpret silence, delay, rejection, and even your own worth. But the anointed are taught differently. Heaven trains you not by removing uncertainty, but by strengthening you to walk through it without trembling. I had to learn this myself. There were seasons when I mistook anxiety for discernment and fear for preparedness. But once the grip of worry loosened, I realized how much life I had been missing. Anointed One, hear this with your spirit. Peace is not the absence of uncertainty. Peace is the refusal to let uncertainty become your master. When you stop narrating life with fear, something sacred happens. You begin to see clearly. You begin to hear heaven's leading more sharply. You begin to notice the small nudges, the subtle alignments, the doors that were always in front of you but hidden behind the fog of panic. Worry blinds, peace reveals, and revelation is the currency of every divine elevation. Growing up, I believed strength meant thinking through every possibility, every scenario, every angle, preparing for outcomes that never came. But the Spirit taught me something different. Overthinking is not wisdom. It is the nervous system rehearsing danger. And you, chosen one, were never designed to live in rehearsal. You were designed to live in revelation. You cannot walk into destiny while dragging the weight of 10 imaginary tomorrows. Anointed One, the moment you stop feeding the fear narrative, your inner landscape changes. You begin returning to your body. You notice your breath instead of your panic. You feel your feet on the ground instead of your fears pulling you into the clouds. You hear conversations instead of responding to your own thoughts. Life begins to feel real again, and it is in that grounded place that heaven speaks with the most clarity. Worry convinces you that you are participating in life, but really you are spectating from the sidelines. You watch instead of engage. You imagine instead of act. But once you pull back, quietly, gently, presence returns, and with presence comes authority. This is what Scripture alludes to when it speaks of stillness. Not passive stillness, but empowered stillness. Stillness that says, I am not running, I am not spiraling, I am not trying to outthink God. Chosen One, listen closely. When you step into that kind of stillness, supernatural alignment begins. Not forced, not manipulated, not begged for. It simply begins. You start becoming the version of yourself that does not chase answers because answers find you. You become the person who no longer interprets every delay as danger. You begin to trust that heaven is working even in silence. This is why the enemy fights your peace so fiercely, because peace is the gatekeeper of clarity, and clarity is the doorway to elevation. Once heaven sees you are no longer moved by every wind, you become a candidate for what others are not ready to carry. Influence, resources, divine timing, supernatural favor. And I say this with lived experience. Chosen One. The day I stopped worshipping my fears, my entire life rearranged itself around peace. Opportunities resurfaced. Conversations that once felt heavy became light. People responded differently to the energy I carried. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual law. When your inner world aligns, your outer world follows. We pause here for now, because what comes next is the deep internal reordering that heaven performs before releasing the wealth, influence, and acceleration assigned to your name. Chosen One, let your spirit receive this. Most of the chaos you feel is not coming from your reality, but from the meaning you attach to reality. Worry takes small moments and paints them in exaggerated colors. One unread message becomes rejection, one silence becomes failure, one unexpected shift becomes collapse. But the anointed are being trained to interpret life through truth, not fear. When you stop adding unnecessary meaning, heaven begins revealing the meaning that truly matters. I had to learn this discipline slowly. There were days when a quiet room felt like accusation, when a change of plans felt like punishment, when a delay felt like divine abandonment. But every time, heaven showed me the same truth. The problem was not the moment. The problem was the story I wrote about the moment. And chosen one, the same grace is coming upon you now, the grace to see life without fear's exaggeration. Anointed one, once you stop reacting from fear, your whole posture toward life changes. Decisions become clearer because the fog lifts. Your relationships deepen because you stop projecting worry into every interaction. Your creativity returns because your mind is no longer drained by imaginary battles. Even your body starts to relax. The shoulders soften, the breath deepens, the chest loosens. This is not psychology alone. This is spiritual restoration. Heaven is teaching your body what peace feels like again. And here is a prophetic truth you must take seriously. Heaven cannot pour new blessings into a mind filled with old fear. Divine timing requires divine posture, and heaven is shaping that posture within you, not by force, but by invitation. You are being invited into a life where you respond rather than react, where you wait without panic, where you move without overthinking, where you rise without rushing. Chosen one, people will notice the change before you do. They will notice how your energy settles the room, how your silence carries weight, how your presence no longer broadcasts anxiety but emits steadiness. You begin walking like someone who knows heaven supports them, and when you walk that way, doors open differently. Let me speak from my own path. The moment I stopped treating uncertainty like a threat, my intuition became louder than my fear. I began sensing what was right without needing to dissect every angle. I let go of timelines and began trusting timing, and life responded in ways my worry never could have orchestrated. Blessings that once avoided me began finding me, not because I tried harder, but because I finally stopped interfering with fear. Anointed one, this is where divine alignment truly begins. When you stop gripping for control, heaven places things in your hands that you were never strong enough to force. When you stop chasing clarity, clarity begins chasing you. When you stop demanding signs, peace becomes the sign. And listen to me, none of this means you stop caring. It means you start caring with wisdom. You treat your focus as sacred. You guard your spirit as if it carries future nations, because it does. You stop giving the loudest voice in your mind all the attention, and you start listening for the quiet one, the voice that says you are safe, you are held, you are guided. Chosen one, this is not the end of the journey. This is preparation. What heaven is about to release requires a mind that is not busy, but ready, not frantic, but aligned, not overwhelmed, but surrendered. Chosen one. There comes a point in the journey where the promise is no longer a distant hope, yet it has not fully materialized before your eyes. You can feel it, you can sense it, you can almost touch the shift, but life around you still looks ordinary, unchanged, repetitive. This is where many grow weary, not because God has forgotten them, but because the waiting exposes every fragile place within the heart. And yet, anointed one, this stretch of the journey is holy. Heaven watches closely here, not to test you, but to strengthen what must endure once the blessing arrives. There were seasons in my life when the word over me was real, undeniable, marked with clarity. I knew heaven had spoken, yet each morning I woke up to the same walls, the same schedule, the same responsibilities. And in those ordinary moments, doubt tried to whisper that perhaps I misheard, perhaps I misread the timing, perhaps the silence meant the promise had evaporated. But what I learned, slowly, quietly, was that the promise was not weakening under the weight of time. I was being strengthened to carry the weight of fulfillment. Anointed One, waiting is not the absence of movement. Waiting is the movement of heaven taking root inside you. The promise grows in the unseen soil of endurance. And endurance is not glamorous. It shows up in the mornings when your spirit feels heavy, but you still rise. It shows up when your prayers feel quiet, but you still open your heart. It shows up when nothing around you confirms the breakthrough, yet you do not collapse into the old patterns fear taught you. This is the work heaven honors most, the unseen faithfulness, the private steadiness, the uncelebrated courage. Chosen One, some of the most powerful alignments unfold while nothing seems to be happening. You may feel stalled, but the promise is maturing. You may feel overlooked, but heaven is preparing alignment beyond your sight. You may feel delayed, but divine timing is holding you until every piece is ready. Many do not realize that receiving too soon can crush what was meant to elevate. Heaven releases only when the blessing will not break you. I remember days when I walked through life bone-tired, not physically, but spiritually. The kind of weariness that sinks deep, where your faith is intact, but your energy wavers. I learned then that faith is built not in the moments when fire falls from heaven, but in the slow, steady, deliberate returning to God when you feel nothing stirring. Faith grows when you show up on days that feel ordinary, when you remain grounded even when you feel forgotten, when you keep your heart open even when heaven feels silent. Anointed One, silence does not mean absence. In the waiting, heaven often speaks in ways that do not sound like voices or visions. Sometimes it is a memory resurfacing just when you need it. Sometimes it is a peace that sits in your chest even though nothing has changed. Sometimes it is a small strength rising in you for no explainable reason. And sometimes, most unexpectedly, it is a quiet reminder, steady and simple, that anchors you when everything else feels thin. You will find one such reminder resting gently in the description below. Chosen One, do not despise the days that feel repetitive. They are the training ground of expansion. Heaven is not only preparing the blessing for you, heaven is preparing you for the blessing. Elevation requires a foundation strong enough to carry it. Wealth requires a spirit steady enough to steward it. Influence requires a heart anchored enough not to be swayed by applause or shaken by criticism. Endurance is not punishment, it is preparation. I have lived through seasons when I prayed for clear signs, dramatic confirmations, anything that would prove the promise was still alive. Instead, heaven gave me routine, small responsibilities, quiet evenings, the same path walked again and again, and it took me years to understand that these were not signs of stagnation, they were signs of formation. The person I needed to become was being shaped in the unremarkable days. And when the breakthrough finally came, I realized that without the slow shaping of my character, the blessing would have felt overwhelming instead of aligned. Anointed One, your spirit already knows this truth. That is why you have not quit. Even on the days when quitting whispered its convenience, you rise. Even when heaviness sits on your shoulders, you hold on to peace. Even when fear tries to reclaim its throne, you choose presence. Even when panic tries to run the show. This resilience is not accidental. It is evidence that heaven has already invested deeply into you. Chosen One, hear me with your spirit. Nothing about your waiting is wasted. Every delayed moment is shaping discernment. Every quiet day is teaching patience. Every ordinary task is strengthening your roots. And every breath you take in faith, even when you feel weary, is building the capacity required for what is coming. Heaven never calls someone to great things without first teaching them how to carry greatness without collapsing beneath it. You are learning how to stand, not just how to hope. You are learning how to stay grounded, not just how to dream. You are learning how to hear God in the silence, not just in the thunder. These are the lessons that separate those who are temporarily blessed from those who carry generational impact. Anointed One, the promise over your life is not fragile. The timing may stretch you, but it will not break you. You are not behind schedule. You are in the slow, sacred unfolding of destiny. And when heaven moves, it will not be partial. It will be complete. The alignment you have been waiting for will arrive with a clarity that silences every doubt. The breakthrough will come with a weight that makes the waiting make sense, and the elevation will reveal why endurance was necessary. Chosen One, let your heart rest here. The promise is still alive. The timing is still perfect, and heaven has not forgotten your name. Chosen One. There is a depth of formation that only reveals itself when the promise is close, yet still hidden. You can feel the nearness of what heaven has prepared, but it has not yet touched the natural realm. This space, this narrow stretch between prophecy and manifestation, is where the soul learns endurance beyond emotion. And Anointed One, this is where heaven begins refining you with a precision that feels both tender and severe. There were chapters in my own walk where I felt the promise breathing on my neck. Every prayer felt heavier, every dream sharper, every sign more intentional, and yet outwardly nothing moved. Those were the days I had to confront the quiet truth. Sometimes God delays the visible to strengthen the invisible. He withholds the manifestation so he can reinforce the vessel. You cannot pour the oil of destiny into a jar that trembles under pressure. Heaven settles you before it elevates you. Chosen One, the fatigue you've been feeling does not mean you are failing. It means you are being stretched to carry more than your former capacity allowed. Spiritual fatigue often visits right before spiritual fulfillment. When the soul is being expanded, it feels like exhaustion. But this is not the exhaustion of defeat. This is the exhaustion of transformation. You are outgrowing every version of you that worry once held captive. Anointed One, heaven has seen how many times you continued when no one was watching. How many nights you pressed through with a tired heart. How many mornings you stood back up even when uncertainty whispered its lies. These small, uncelebrated victories have built a spiritual stamina most people never see, and heaven honors that. Do not underestimate the weight of unseen obedience. There were moments when I believed the promise had passed me by, when silence felt like a closed door. But as I matured, I realized something sacred. Heaven reveals only what strengthens and withholds only what protects. Delay is not denial. Delay is divine shielding. There were blessings I once cried for that would have crushed me if they had arrived too soon. The waiting was mercy disguised as stillness. Chosen one, you are not waiting alone. Heaven waits with you. The promise waits with you. Timing waits with you. There is no accusation in this space, only shaping, only preparation, only becoming. You may feel as though nothing is happening, but the truth is, everything is happening. You are being aligned to recognize the blessing when it appears, not fear it. You are being positioned to receive with clarity, not panic. And you are being strengthened to hold with confidence what heaven places in your hands. Anointed one, listen to this truth deep within. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is worship. Waiting is trust. Waiting is the declaration that you will not let fear drive you into premature decisions. In my own life, the most dangerous mistakes I ever made were the ones rooted in fear of waiting too long. But the breakthroughs that changed everything came when I chose stillness over striving. And while you wait, life continues. Bills must be paid, responsibilities must be met, people must be cared for. This is where the journey becomes deeply human. This is where faith meets routine. And this is where spiritual maturity is forged. Heaven does not prepare you in the extraordinary moments alone. It prepares you in the repetitive, ordinary ones. The days that look unimpressive to others are the days that impress God the most. Chosen one, your resilience in the mundane is prophetic. Your consistency is a declaration. Your endurance is a sermon. You may not feel spiritual when you fold laundry, commute to work, sit in silence, or choose patience, but heaven sees all of it. These small acts of stability are what make you ready for abundance. Wealth without inner structure collapses. Influence without grounding destroys. But you, anointed one, are being established with care. And understand this, the promise is not fragile. It is not slipping away. It is not threatened by time, delay, or silence. What is ordained by heaven cannot be undone by earth. Your blessing is not evaporating, it is maturing. You are not drifting from it. You are growing toward it. The timing you fear is the timing heaven is using to prepare you for longevity, not just breakthrough. Chosen one, there is nothing wrong with feeling tired. Even the faithful grow weary. But weariness is not a sign to give up. It is a sign to breathe and remain. Sometimes the most prophetic act is simply not quitting. Sometimes the greatest victory is staying in alignment when your feelings beg to run. Heaven applauds endurance more loudly than passion. And when the time comes, the shift will not be subtle. It will be unmistakable. Every delay will make sense. Every tear will have purpose. And your heart will realize it was being strengthened not to survive the blessing, but to steward it. We pause here, anointed one, because the next part reveals the unseen warfare around waiting and the supernatural reversal that follows. Chosen one, there is a battle that unfolds in the quiet spaces of waiting, a battle many never recognize because it does not roar like traditional warfare. It whispers, it presses, it exhausts. It makes you question whether the promise was real or imagined. And this battle does not attack your circumstances, it attacks your endurance. Heaven elevates through perseverance, but the enemy disrupts through depletion. Anointed one, the enemy does not fear your blessing. He fears your readiness for it. He fears your alignment. He fears the strength you develop while waiting. Because once you become the kind of person who can endure waiting without surrendering your identity, your peace, or your clarity, you become unstoppable. You become someone who carries heaven's authority, not just heaven's promises. There were seasons in my own journey where the warfare felt almost invisible. Nothing dramatic happened, yet everything felt heavy. The tasks I once handled easily became burdensome. The prayers that once flowed felt stuck. Even my own thoughts felt louder, more chaotic, more intrusive. And I did not understand at first that this was spiritual resistance, not personal weakness. The closer the promise came, the more subtle the pressure grew. Chosen one, this pressure is not evidence that you are failing, it is evidence that you are nearing breakthrough. Heaven often allows pressure so you can learn to breathe through it, not break beneath it. Pressure is where discernment sharpens. Pressure is where inner authority rises. Pressure is where you discover the strength you did not know was in you. Anointed one, this warfare shows up in small moments, moments where doubt feels louder than truth, where fatigue feels stronger than faith, where impatience tries to dress itself as logic. But hear this, you are not losing ground, you are gaining spiritual muscle. Waiting is not holding you back. It is building the character required for supernatural acceleration. I have walked through days when the promise felt faint, when I could not feel God's nearness, and when life felt suspended between what was and what would be. On those days, heaven taught me something vital. The promise is guaranteed, but the posture is chosen. You choose whether you stand, whether you breathe, whether you trust. Heaven provides the promise. You provide the posture. Chosen one, faith in long seasons does not always look like passion. It often looks like quiet decisions made repeatedly. Choosing peace when fear is louder. Choosing trust when timing is unclear. Choosing stillness when anxiety demands movement. These decisions do not always feel spiritual, but they are profoundly prophetic. They proclaim to heaven and to every opposing force that you will not abandon the promise simply because the process is uncomfortable. Anointed one, let me speak truth into you. The promise has not weakened. You have not misheard. You have not missed your moment. Heaven is aligning more than your eyes can perceive. Some alignments require silence. Some breakthroughs require preparation in the shadows. Some blessings require cycles to complete before they can be released. Chosen one, remember this. The enemy cannot cancel what heaven has declared. He can only convince you to abandon your position. And that is why he wages war, not on your promise, but on your patience. Not on your destiny, but on your discipline. Not on your anointing, but on your emotional endurance. But heaven has already equipped you. You may feel weary, but weariness does not remove calling. You may feel stretched, but stretching does not remove favor. You may feel uncertain, but uncertainty does not remove destiny. You are not being disqualified, you are being deepened. Anointed one, the version of you emerging from this season will not walk timidly into what heaven releases. You will walk with authority. You will walk with clarity. You will walk with a peace that cannot be manipulated. You will walk with discernment sharpened by silence, not shaped by fear. And the moment heaven declares now, everything will move at a pace that redeems the years that felt paused. The blessing will come in waves, not drops. The release will be undeniable. The acceleration will expose just how close you have been all along. You will look back and say, the waiting was not a delay, it was the womb. Chosen one, let your heart receive this. You are still on schedule. Nothing about your journey is wasted. Nothing about your endurance is overlooked. And nothing about your promise is cancelled. Chosen one. There is a sacred truth that heaven reserves for those who endure long seasons of silence. The promise does not arrive to you, it rises from within you. By the time the breakthrough reaches the natural realm, heaven has already built the version of you that can hold it. And anointed one, you are closer to that emergence than your emotions realize. What feels like stagnation is inner resurrection. What feels like delay is spiritual construction. What feels like emptiness is capacity being carved out for abundance. There was a time in my life when I thought breakthrough came suddenly, as if heaven waited for a dramatic moment to rip open the sky. But the older I grew in the spirit, the more I learned, breakthrough is not sudden, the realization of it is. Heaven prepares slowly and reveals quickly. The slow work happens in the places no one sees, in the quiet refusals to give up, in the tiny moments when you breathe through panic instead of collapsing into it, in the decisions to remain grounded even when fear pulls at your ankles. These are the hidden victories that precede visible ones. Anointed one, you have no idea how much you have already overcome simply by staying in position. Many do not realize that quitting does not always look dramatic. Sometimes quitting looks like drifting. Sometimes it looks like numbing. Sometimes it looks like shrinking your expectations to avoid disappointment. But you, chosen one, have done something heaven recognizes as rare. You remained available to the promise. You kept stretching, you kept expecting, you kept healing. Even when it felt slow, painful, or pointless, you did not abandon the becoming. This is why heaven trusts you with elevation. Chosen one, the warfare you have felt around your mind in this season has not been random. It is because the promise is nearing its unveiling. When destiny draws close, the enemy attempts to distract, distort, and drain. But he cannot dismantle what heaven has fortified. Your clarity is returning, your strength is stabilizing, your vision is sharpening, and heaven is surrounding you with peace that does not tremble under pressure. There were days when I asked God for signs, confirmations, dreams, anything to assure me the promise was still alive, and what I received was not a sign but a strength, not a vision but a calm, not an explanation but an inner knowing that refused to die. It took me years to understand that this knowing was the promise maturing. Anointed one, you are carrying that same knowing now. Even in fatigue, you sense destiny pressing forward. Even in frustration, you feel a pull toward future alignment. Even in uncertainty, you feel a quiet assurance that heaven has not finished speaking over your life. That inner witness is not imagination, it is inheritance. And here is what heaven wants you to understand. You do not need explosive faith to cross the threshold of breakthrough. You need steady faith, rooted faith, breath by breath faith, the kind that shows up tired but still shows up, the kind that says, I am still here. Heaven does not require perfection, heaven requires endurance. Chosen one, the breakthrough assigned to you will not look like the blessings of others. Yours will be layered, strategic, and spiritually backed. It will elevate you in ways that appear sudden to others but make perfect sense to your spirit. The doors that open for you will not require manipulation. The connections will not require striving. The resources will not require begging. This breakthrough will be something your spirit recognizes as divine because it will arrive with peace, not pressure. Anointed one, something is shifting even now. Heaven is clearing what once clouded your mind. Your heart is being prepared to receive without fear. Your spirit is being strengthened to carry without trembling. And your destiny is beginning to rise from the soil of everything you survived. We stop here because Part 8 carries the final turning point, where waiting transforms into supernatural release. Chosen one. There is a moment in every divine story when the stretching ceases, the pressure breaks, and heaven reveals what it has been building behind the veil. You are approaching that moment, not because you forced it, but because you endured long enough for heaven to complete the internal work. Anointed one, what is coming toward you is not small. It is not symbolic. It is not partial. It is a release that requires a steadiness most people never cultivate. You have been walking through a season where heaven was not only shaping your character, but enlarging your capacity. And capacity is not expanded through comfort. It is expanded through tension, through quiet surrender, through the days you felt least capable, yet remained faithful. That is why your breakthrough carries weight. It is built on endurance, not emotion. Chosen one, the promise over your life has been waiting for the version of you that now exists. Not a perfect you, but a strengthened you. Not a fearless you, but a grounded you. Not a constantly confident you, but a you who refuses to retreat. Heaven does not release elevation to those who are merely inspired. Heaven releases to those who have been internally reconstructed. I remember a season when everything around me felt paused, yet something inside me felt strangely ready. I could not explain it. There were no signs, no miracles, no outward changes, but my spirit was standing taller. I felt like I had outgrown my old worries, my old insecurities, my old patterns. And without any dramatic moment, heaven suddenly shifted everything. What I had waited years for moved in days. What once resisted me began opening. What I could not force came effortlessly. And that is the nature of divine timing. It appears slow until it becomes unstoppable. Anointed one, the same acceleration is aligning for you. But hear this truth clearly. The breakthrough is not coming to rescue you. It is coming because you are ready to steward it. Heaven does not pour abundance into a soul still shaped by scarcity. Heaven does not open doors for one who will abandon themselves once they walk through. Heaven does not release wealth or opportunity to someone still entangled with worry, panic, or self-doubt. You have been separated from those patterns. Not perfectly, but definitively. The way you respond to pressure has changed. The way you navigate silence has changed. The way you interpret delays has changed. And because your inner world has matured, your outer world can now shift. Chosen one, the next move of God in your life will not be subtle. It will not leave you guessing. It will not feel fragile. It will arrive with clarity, authority, and peace. 3 markers of a heaven-sent blessing. Doors will open without emotional strain. Opportunities will emerge without compromise. Provision will flow without panic. And your spirit will say, "This is the moment I was built for." Anointed one, you will soon see why heaven required patience, why silence was not rejection, why isolation was not punishment, why waiting was not wasted. Every unseen layer of endurance will become the scaffolding for the life you are stepping into. You will stand in a space that once felt impossible, and you will realize the waiting did not break you. It prepared you. The promise did not delay. It matured. And you did not merely survive the process. You were transformed by it. Chosen one, this is the threshold. The ground beneath you is already shifting. The release that has been circling your life is drawing near. And heaven is ready to place in your hands what you can finally hold without fear. Your spirit already knows something is about to unfold. Chosen one. As you step out of this moment, carry this truth with you. Heaven moves in ways that do not shout, yet they shift everything. When you stop worrying, everything starts to go well, because your spirit finally comes into agreement with what God has already set in motion. You are not entering possibility, you are standing in divine timing. This is your Kairos moment, the exact hour heaven has appointed for clarity, peace, and supernatural alignment to rise in you. Anointed one, may the stillness you feel now become the ground you walk on. May the weight that never belonged to you fall away. May your mind become a place where God's wisdom flows freely, where fear cannot anchor itself, and where peace becomes your daily language. What is unfolding in your life is not coincidence, it is confirmation. A transfer is in motion, and heaven trusts you to carry what comes next with calm authority. If this word met you in the right hour, you are welcome to stay connected by sharing your reflection or remaining with this channel's journey forward. And when your heart needs steadiness, there is a quiet reminder waiting in the pinned comment and description. Chosen one, go in peace, walk in clarity, and step into the goodness already aligned for you.